And now we're gonna look at another kind of important thing. And we're probably gonna get our butts kicked.
I mean, what, are you putting up 60?
I mean, I could.
I mean, you shouldn't.
So, greater rifts. These are an infinitely scaling version of rifts. So, just for comedy's sake,
Oh,
you
God.
could go into a level 1 rift, and it's the equivalent of a hard difficulty normal game. And you can see...
I thought it was a normal difficulty. Is it hard?
Nope, it says hard on it.
Oh, really? Huh.
Yeah, up to 45 or so, which is basically the same rift we just cleared. Personally, this list goes up for as high as the greater rifts you have cleared +1 or +2 or so. So let's see what happens when we go into greater rift level 88, which is about double the difficulty we're on right now.
I hate you.
Exponentially.
I think if we clear... I'm gonna empower this rift, guys. How much does it cost? 570 million will pass. Alright, if we even kill one mob, I'm gonna count this as a win. Oh yeah, and all my pets got desummoned because everything sort of gets reset when you go into a greater rift, except...
So you can see these enemies kind of have a lot of health now. The normal trash mobs have 3 billion HP, and they are just tearing through us. This is also after a patch where they reduced the damage of enemies at certain levels of greater rift. So we are barely surviving this. I've gone through all of my cheat deaths, I am dead. And you can see, there's a little hourglass popping up on the side there. Meaning that we have a limited amount of time to clear this rift.
We're, in case you're keeping score at home, we're not making it.
This is basically a leaderboard equivalent, and in order to do things at the top end, you kind of need very certain skills, abilities, and gear.
Generally, a very...
Oh god, I just brought everything on top of me.
A very select group comp generally will, is what he's trying to say.
Yeah, let's leave.
What's the current meta? Is it still 3 support, 1 DPS?
Probably. So the other thing about Greater Rifts is every time you die, you get 5 seconds added to your timer for rezzing back at your corpse. Oh god, let me out. You can repair your gear, but you're not allowed to change your gear while in a Greater Rift, so I can't do anything about that. So if you screw up something, you can't change your abilities, you can't change your gear. You're set going throughout this this dungeon. So you may ask, how do you fix this? How do you fix this problem that I've created? Well, you leave the game.
It's the escape key.
And then start a new game. And hopefully you don't pick something too high for yourself.
And I suppose it's it's this sort of thing that, I mean, people say, oh, well, the game's really easy or whatever, and it's like, well, it's as hard as you want it to be, you know?
In a lot of ways, yes, but at the same time, it's not necessarily a proper difficulty curve in a lot of ways.
No, I mean, you're absolutely correct.
Let's do a Greater Rift 50. That's a lot more sensible. And there's a little checkbox here saying Empowered Rift. So this gives us an opportunity to do an additional thing at the end, which we will get to, regarding things called gems. So let's go ahead and open this up. So this is a little bit more difficult than what our current Torment 10 is.
Many Nephilim have stood where you are now, but few succeeded in overcoming.
Patience.
So this is going a lot more swimmingly, as you can see. Even though it's a little bit more difficult than Torment 10, we can actually kill things.
Again, more difficult than Torment 10, sort of,
It's kind of a moot point at this point, but
Well, I would say it really depends on the mob set you get too, right? Because, you know, if you get all zombies, which are essentially all slow-moving melee mobs, there's really not a whole lot that's going to surprise you or rip you up. But then if you get like the Act 5 Anarchs and Exarchs that move through you doing damage at like the speed of sound, then it...
I mean, we have Act 5 enemies currently.
Well, I was just saying the difficulty is even on rifts.
So you can see the timer on the side. It's behind what the little boss icon is.
Yeah, the purple bars are progress, and we're ahead of the timer. We're doing it.
So you may ask, what happens if you're equivalent with this timer? Conduit pylon. You still spawn a boss at the end, and that still counts against your timer.
Bad luck for you, friend.
So you have to kill the boss by the time the timer ends in order to fully complete a Greater Rift.
And even if we were ultra slow, and it took us an hour to clear the rift, I think we're given, what, 15 minutes is essentially what the max time is?
So, I should also kind of clarify on that. Yes, 15 minutes is the maximum time, but just because you go over the 15-minute time limit doesn't necessarily prevent you from getting anything from these Greater Rifts.
You'll still spawn a boss. He'll still drop loot.
Oh yeah, the other thing I forgot to mention, enemies don't drop, normal enemies or elite enemies don't drop anything in this Greater Rifts. So you might see just nothing coming off of these corpses when we explode them compared to like the zillions of gold that was coming off previously or various items. The only things that drop during this is are those orbs that elites drop to increase the progress. This is just kind of it's kind of a way to prevent people from getting lost in the moment of just being more interested in the loot rather than what they're doing. I went to the new floor. There's a channeling pylon here. Channeling pylons make everything free and make your cooldowns come back very fast. So it is extremely good for cooldown-based specs, or anything that requires a lot of juice, basically, to keep it going.
Twister Wizards? Twister Wizards. He means Twister Wizards.
Yeah, Twister Wizards are still a thing.
A thing or the thing?
The thing.
Yeah, let's use our words.
I have no idea where the actual elite is. I'm just... oh, here it is. I was blocked off by the roof. Freaking shielding.
Patience.
Just slurping up all that electricity for you guys.
You mean my pets? Yep, they sure are.
No, I did it. I just walked through it all.
Yeah, I will say I'm kind of running a special snowflake build here, and it's starting to show its age or whatever. I don't think I'm killing nearly as efficiently as Kubi over there with.
This is by no means anything special. I just threw it together with the gear I had. It works decently well. I think Junos is doing a lot of work.
Not yet.
So Junos is extremely helpful in that bubble because of her set of gear. It also reduces the damage we take when we stand in it.
Although, were you saying earlier that it also reduces, like, she gets a benefit of it whether she's in the bubble or not?
That's correct.
Patience.
It's almost like micromanaging positions on fun. Who knew?
Crusade marches on. Not ready yet.
Some of these rifts are not necessarily the greatest either. We're getting quite a few elites, but because of the nature of like all these corridors and stuff like that, it gets kind of difficult to get from point A to point B. Goodbye.
His wounds are deep. Wounds healed.
I will res you.
Patience.
I am just barely staying alive somehow. There we go.
Not ready yet.
Still having difficulty making sense of some of these numbers.
This will be a good battle.
Like large numbers or just numbers in general?
Oh, there's just so many of them coming off. It's hard for me to tell where the some of the
If
bigger
it's
ones
good or
are.
not, yeah. That's kind of a problem with the game as a whole. It's kind of difficult to tell what is actually good. An elite somewhere so we don't have to go to the next level.
Patience.
What I wouldn't give for damage meter, eh?
Yeah, sometimes.
Did you go down or not yet?
Oh, let's just kill the things that are here. There's quite a few
Oh,
baby
this'll
mobs. Here we
pop
go.
it. There we go.
Oh, it's a skeleton. No, this is a basic enemy type, actually. That we're murdering now.
Slam dance is down.
I see that. I'm bopping this guy pretty hard now. There we go.
Oh, personal best. Oh wait, no.
So at the end of Greater Rifts, you get a bunch of legendaries normally, depending on the difficulty you're playing on. And you also get a gem. These gems can be socketed into basically jewelry, so amulets and rings only.
My name is Urshi, and like all, I once served the ancient Nephilim. When the champions of ages past had proven themselves, I would attempt to improve the clarity of one of their gems. If you have a gem of
Her name should have been
sufficient
Dyson.
quality, I can try to do this for you as well, champion. Let's see the gem.
So you can upgrade the gems that drop from these Greater Rifts with her. So you can see these numbers are basically the level of gem that they are currently. Depending on the difficulty of rift you are, this also affects upgrade chance. So if I try to upgrade this level rank 63 gem, it basically will fail, but this rank 21 one will be fine to upgrade. What do I want to do here? Let's upgrade Teguk. I'll probably put a post in the thread about all the different types of gems and how useful I think they are. And normally you get only 3 upgrade chances, but because I empowered the rift at the beginning, it gave me 1 additional chance, and that's kind of the only gold sync there is in the game at this point. Oh, we're in Act 5. Okay.
In this rift, it's actually not possible for someone to close the rift until everybody has upgraded their gems. Although, once everybody's upgraded their gems, it closes instantly. So, you learn pretty quickly that you pick up all your items and stuff before you go talk to the gem lady.
It also shows, like, kind of your current bests of those. It's current best of that particular character rather than what your actual current best would be across your entire account. What did we get here? Oh, nothing too special. So now you might ask, what does it look like to do a good rift? Or good greater rift?
Oh.
So I'm gonna hop on one of the most overpowered characters I have, which is my wizard. Genos had to step out, so it'll just be myself and Zarin for now.
Which that works out. Junos, trying to think of how to put this. Didn't have the patience for the nearly Korean levels of grinding that the end of this game becomes. I'm pretty sure there's probably not a fault, no character fault
Yeah.
there. In fact, it probably makes her smarter than me, but it is what it is.
Are you ready for this?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
good.
T10.
Yeah,
Got
we're
this.
gonna... This is an example of how ridiculous you can be in this game. So let's open up T10 Rift.
Which character is this? Is your
I'm currently using a... This is my wizard that...
Twister or Splody?
Yeah.
So about that meta we are talking about, my character, well, and this character is sort of outdated because they broke one of the things it did, but pretty much this character existed simply to provide buffs to group enemies for the wizard to blow up, and
This isn't even the strongest form of wizard. This is just one of the fastest forms of wizard.
the thing they broke was that it used to spit out health globes, which then would restore his focus, I think is what? No. Yes.
Arcane power.
Arcane power. So it's my job to protect and feed the wizard, so the wizard can kill everything.
But on Torment 10, that's not really the case. Like, this character will, by itself, clear rifts at a very high rate. Or great, these kinds of rifts. Basically, the idea behind it is, Talrasha's set is normally a set that you have to rotate 4 different elements of abilities. So I have 4 different elements on my bar. The teleport, which does a small arcane AoE. My left click, which is an attack that does a little bit of lightning damage. My number 4 is Explosive Blast. As you can see, it's kind of going crazy. The ability is supposed to have a cooldown, but it currently doesn't. And I have Frost Nova, which covers the 4th element.
It's pretty much,
What this provides me is, it gives me basically 750% increased damage for every element I have going up, as this buff down here will show. So, what's that? That's 3,500 damage increase? No, that's not right. 3,000% damage increase.
yeah.
So, what that means is things are just exploding hilariously every time I walk by them because of how much percent damage I have. The only problem is when I run out of elites to kill, I no longer get free explosive blasts constantly. And yeah, this is basically one of the fastest farming builds in the game. Like, even if you're looking for things for a different class, it is still worthwhile to be a wizard and just go around clicking until things die. It is fucking ridiculous.
Well, not only that, but I think it's just some of the best ways to get gear for other classes is simply through the cube, the gambling, and re-rolling systems anyway, and so you just farm up materials and go spend them on something else.
Mm-hmm. So, speaking of the cube, you may have seen Zoltan Cool in the previous video, just kind of chilling beside Orek. That'll be coming up in the next video. He is a very important mechanic that benefits everyone playing this game.
Still waiting. The Rift Guardian has found.
Of course, if you're really interested in being efficient about farming up other sets of gear for something, what you do is you find a buddy who wants to just tag along with you while you blow everything up, and he'll give you the pieces you're looking for as he's on that character, that class.
Also, the other thing I am doing is I'm using something called a numlock trick, I guess. So what happens is you also bind these abilities to your numlock pad or numpad,
Ancients would be.
and you hold those 2 buttons down and then turn off numlock, and it'll just automatically fire my 3 and 4 keys, basically, because those are the ones I want going off at all times. And they caused me to become the paragon of death that I was.
And I've done something similar with a Logitech keyboard. And as before. I think I knew about the numlock trick, but
Weirdly, the difference is that Blizzard kind of frowns upon auto hotkey kind of stuff. I don't think they were really banned for it, but they frown upon it for reasons. I guess botting reasons. So that's what we would look like going through greater or normal rifts on T10. Now you might ask, well, how does this transfer going upwards? So there is another set of gear in the game called the Firebird set, which is it's a pretty okay set in general.
it's good again.
Yeah, it's been good. But what's really important about it is the 4 set, which, as we said last time, you can get the 4 set by with Ring of Royal Grandeur, which I have on in another location. Yeah. No, I actually want the shoulders. So this gives us the 4 set, and what am I missing? Oh no, I need this. Right. Oh no, actually there's a belt for this set. I am very forgetful right now because I have not played this class in a while. Yep, that's what I want.
Oh,
So they both have the 6 set for Talrashas, which causes me to become a Paragon of Death, and the Firebird set, which basically every time I touch something it'll burn for 3000% damage. Which stacks with that 3000% damage buff that Talrashas does.
I have a piece of gear on cubes.
And?
I'm not sure what ring I'm missing.
What are you wearing currently?
Oh, I had Band of Might in the cube, so I must have had a different ring on, but I have no idea what the hell it would have been.
Huh.
I'll figure that out. Go ahead.
Okay, so let's look at a Greater Rift 60 now, which this is, prior to Talrasha set being buffed, was what I was doing in, like, less than 5 minutes on this character.
Oh, by go ahead, I meant keep talking.
Oh.
Give me 1 second. I'm gonna look through that mailbox real quick. It's gotta be in here somewhere.
Yeah, take your time. We'll be back after these messages.
See, it wouldn't have been a convention, because I don't do damage.
I don't do damage.
Let's... Wouldn't have been the Hellfire ring, I don't think, because they nerfed XP.
Yeah, no, they nerfed Hellfire Ring prior to using that character.
See, I'm already
Shit, I
wearing a
can't remember.
Zodiac ring.
So you have Zodiac, Band of Might.
Oculus? Oh yeah, there it is. Rank 79
Yeah,
use
Oculus.
calculation. Yep, that'd be it.
I was gonna say either Oculus or if you're using that Traveler's thing.
No, yet. Alright, there. Now I'm gonna take, like, no damage. Alright, we're ready. Ready, boys.
Now you're gonna take no damage. So let's look at this Greater Rift 60.
It's not that much higher than...
It's not, but
Unleash your power.
again, you have to redo all your buffs every time you go in here.
Not ready yet.
Like, I'm still not providing any value, I don't think, here.
Oh
yeah.
You're providing Oculus zones occasionally.
That you're not standing in, like, at all.
I can't stand them. I need to be closer to enemies. Also, every time I know this one, I put the black hole down already. So I've changed a few abilities since the last time, which have black hole on my bar, which occasionally slurps up enemies, and I've changed my armor to provide more benefit to my survivability.
Oh, I have
rather than
NEMs,
just
by
a
the
little
way.
bit more damage. Pardon me?
I have NEMs.
Oh, okay, I don't, so
I feel like I should have strong arms, but...
Need more time.
yeah, it won't matter.
If the Nemesis Bracers do, as seen before, as it spawns a champion at the shrine, champions are worth those globes now, and you can guarantee that you line up a champion pack with the shrine. It becomes semi-worth it.
It becomes more worth it the higher the difficulty of Rift, because trying to get from one pack to another and not dying is kind of can be an accomplishment in its own.
Your grave awaits.
Alright, I'm
But
gonna
also
hit it.
providing,
Shield.
yep. At the same time, you also have to provide means of doing damage to these enemies. So having a bunch of normal enemies in addition to a white pack, or in addition to like a yellow or blue pack, is actually super worthwhile a lot of the time. Because it means like incidental damage will kill the normal enemies while you're focusing on the bigger ones.
Need more time. Still waiting. Your defenses are nothing.
Wasn't there like a teleport wizard kind of thing in Diablo 2? Or was that for just
Yeah, 2, absolutely. Well, because pretty much, well, the way you played that game was you would just warp to the boss in the, what this game will call story mode, just the overworld. You would warp to the boss of the,
there's a conduit here. Okay.
Still waiting.
So, you remember how I was saying conduit pylons are kind of hilarious with the right things? Well, the right
Yeah.
things happen to be this wizard spec, because there was a elite here, now it's dead.
There's another one down here.
Not ready yet.
Bye.
They're both dead.
Oh, there.
Yeah. So, holy fuck, I just seen something hit for 129 billion.
Still
I
waiting.
had no idea what that was, but okay.
I'm so good, I astound myself.
So numbers can, like, the pacing of this game, depending on your gear,
Be better.
gets frickin' insane.
Not
Oh,
ready.
there's a pylon up here.
Yep, I got it.
Oh, you did.
Actually provides a lot of benefit to me.
At this point, we have literally become anime.
Like, this boss is just chain stunned, basically, right now. While we just whittle it down with millions of numbers.
Need more time.
And now we can talk to Urshi and upgrade more of our gems. So this is basically the core loop of what you would do in order to go up in difficulty and get onto the leaderboard and all that. Except this particular... I actually have no idea what the current top-end specs are right now.
Besides, still Twister Wizard.
I don't know, like, how you build towards Twister Wizard, though, is what I meant by that.
Ah,
And we got a Paragon point.
I need to go back.
And I suppose next time we will take a look at what Zoltan Cool has to offer.
Runs true within you.
we're gonna stretch our legs a little bit, or we're just gonna leave it at 60 there.
We'll leave it at 60 there.
Alright.